All right, so when we're talking about biology and the difference between dating between men and women, you have to take in the objective truths of how people behave. And many people who take the red pill, we've swallowed these truths. We understand, and we know what it is, how women behave and how women choose us, things like that. And essentially, people will say things like, oh, it's just part of becoming an adult. Men need to man up and you need to pay the bills and you take responsibility and this, that, and the third. But, unfortunately, it's a trap, right? So if you're not actually focused on the right things, what are the right things? The right things are looking at a relationship for what it should be, which is love, right? Now, unfortunately, when we're talking about female nature, we understand, those of us who've taken the red pill and those of us who, and you might say those of us who've taken the black pill to some extent, right? Although the black pill can be extremely depressing. Black pill, red pill, there are contrasting truths there. I shouldn't say contrasting, but I should say there are, overlapping truths. Okay? So, but those of us who know about the red pill, who know the truth, we understand that our money matters. We understand that our social status matters. Okay. We understand how women are biologically programmed to be hypergamous, to choose the man with the most resources and the best social status and things like that, so that she can live vicariously through us, so that she can have her best life. Unfortunately, these things aren't love. So how can we combat that? First of all, we need to take responsibility as men for our own choosing, and we need to stop only choosing women for sex. And I believe that I believe that women have adapted to this. I believe that women have adapted to men only wanting them for sex, and they have learned how to use sex to get what they want from men in relationships, lure men into relationships with them using sex. So they get the highest quality male using sexuality. Now, that's just a general truth, and we need to expose that, and we need to change that. We need to raise better daughters, teach them better values, and if it's part of their nature, which we believe it is, those of us in the red pill community, then we need to teach them to go against their nature. Okay? Don't just seek out a man who has the best money for you. Don't just seek out a man who's the most compatible with you, okay? You want to seek out love, all right? Compatibility is not unimportant. Compatibility is, good, but when a lot, from the female perspective, from the female point of view, compatibility has a lot to do with, what is he doing for me financially? What are we doing in our relationship? Are we going out and doing fun things? And if you really boil that down, it's how is this relationship compatibility-wise benefiting me, benefiting what I want? I want to go be social. I want to have fun. I want to go do fun things. That's compatible with what I want in a relationship. Well, what does that mean? What kind of man would be compatible with going out and doing things and this, that, and the third? A man who has money, a man who has financial freedom in order to do that. And this is how women twist things. This is how they say, oh, it's all about compatibility and da-da-da-da. But when you really look into what they're talking about financial freedom. Is the man financially well off enough to where she can feel comfortable raising kids with him? And then she'll slap a label of compatibility on that. Is the man comfortable enough financially in order to house me and my children, whether it's from him directly or from another man? And then she'll slap a label of compatibility on that. Okay. Of course, we know nowadays women are having kids out of wedlock like crazy, and a lot of men are having to settle and raise her kids from a different relationship. And even men themselves are having kids out of wedlock, and they themselves are raising kids from other relationships, which is a big problem. So what she's really saying is, I want a man who gives me the type of lifestyle, pays bills, has his own house, has a good car, to where he can take me to go do things, he can house me, and we can live the best, happiest possible life, right? Boil that down, she'll say that is quote unquote compatibility. What is that really? What is that really is it's hypergamy. Okay, that's what it really is. That's female hypergamy. She wants the man who has the best life so that she can live the best life. Well, what does it have to do with love? What does it have to do with loyalty, right? We all know we can lose our job at any time. One of the biggest fears in the American and the West, whether it's Europe or whatever, one of our biggest fears is financial insecurity. We all want to be financially secure, right? One of our biggest fears is losing our job or the economy going shit, the stock market crashing, taxes going up. These are our biggest fears because money runs our system. Well, that's going to play into biology. That's going to play into relationships a great deal. So women want security. So this is what I was talking about before when I said, the guy I was living with, and when he was like, hey, women are expensive. And I was like, well, I want to get married, And he looked at my situation. I was 21. I was a college student, didn't have any money to my name. I was paying him like $200 a month in rent for this little room in his basement. Okay. Which $200 is a great deal for a little room in a basement these days. And he was just like, well, women are expensive. Meaning if you don't have a house, if you're not at least renting an apartment, you're not going to make it, man. You're not going to be able to get married. You need to go out and you need to work, because a woman is not going to settle down with you unless you're making money. And that kind of, was in the back of my mind, rattling around for the time I was 21, the time I was 30, for the next 9 years. How am I going to support myself? How am I going to pay for a family and then that's when I realized, after trial and error, after dating and rejections and bad relationships, etc., that, women want a guy with money. Okay. If you don't have an apartment, you don't have your own place to live, you're not able to support her while she's pregnant, etc., you're not going to get a woman. So what does that mean? It means real love doesn't exist. Unconditional love doesn't exist, at least not in this environment, at least not in this culture. Okay, and if it does exist, it's rare. I've seen it a few times. I've seen a few women who have gone to bat, gotten married, had kids with guys who didn't have anything going for them, who didn't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out, didn't have any money, and they worked it out with working their own job or help from their parents or some combination thereof, and they just love the guy. But 9 times out of 10, she's not going to settle down with you. 9 times out of 10, this is why all these guys out here are working their asses off 8 hours a day, sometimes 10, 12, 14 hours a day, so they can have a career, so they can have a good life, so they can have a lot of money, because they want a woman. And a woman isn't going to choose them if they're not a breadwinner. The woman's not going to choose them if they're not making a lot of money. That's the truth about dating. That's the truth about biology. That's the real truth about this whole world and this whole system. All these people in all these houses, the woman would leave them if they lost their house. The woman would leave them if they lost their job. The woman would leave them if they lost the lifestyle that she has settled with. And 9 times out of 10, it is settling, because the woman is going to get the best she can get, because that's hypergamy. She's going to get the guy that she's attracted to, the guy that she likes, the guy that she is amiable around, but also he's got money. That's always, always, always the caveat. That's always, always, always the fine print. That's always, always, always the parentheses. He's got money. She's not going to settle down with the guy who doesn't have money, period. And that's what this world is. That's what all these houses, all these apartments, all these people living in these places,